Imagine you have exactly 180 seconds to change the world. Not with a winning lottery ticket, not with a political speech, and certainly not with a desperate plea for mercy. You have 180 seconds to prove that everything these men think they know about power, about grace, and about you is fundamentally wrong. This isn't a movie set with a choreographed ending. This is a cramped, sun-drenched office on the 20th Century Fox lot in 1964, and the air is so thick with the smell of stale coffee and expensive tobacco that you can almost taste the cynicism. In this room sit men like William Dozier and a handful of directors who have spent their lives building the illusions of Hollywood. To them, the young man standing in front of them is just another hopeful, another exotic act to fill a background slot. They aren't looking for a star. They are looking for a stuntman from the local gym who can take a punch and look good doing it. They give him 3 minutes, 180 seconds to justify why they shouldn't just call security and move on to the next appointment. They see a sharp suit, a polite smile, and a stature that doesn't scream hero in the language of 1960s American cinema. They see a caricature. They are about to see a revolution. The California heat is pressing against the windows, but inside the office the atmosphere is freezing. It's that particular brand of professional coldness reserved for someone who is being humored but not respected. One of the directors leans back, the leather of his chair creaking like a warning. He smirks, a gesture that says he's seen 1,000 of these guys come and go. He tells the young man to show them some of that karate stuff. He says it like he's asking a dog to roll over. He doesn't expect a demonstration, he expects a performance. Bruce Lee doesn't flinch, he doesn't show anger, and he doesn't show nerves. He stands in the center of the room, his feet planted with a terrifying, quiet precision. He isn't vibrating with energy, he is still. He looks less like a fighter and more like a storm held behind a massive dam. If you looked closely at the dust motes dancing in the afternoon light, you'd realize they were the only things moving in his vicinity. He is a man who has mastered the art of being present, while everyone else in the room is already thinking about their next drink at the Polo Lounge. To understand the weight of these 180 seconds, you have to understand the world outside that office door. It's 1964. The golden age of Hollywood is shifting, but the gates are still guarded by men who believe that strength is measured in bulk and that martial arts is something you see in a comic strip or a cheap carnival. To them, the East is a mystery to be exploited, not a philosophy to be understood. Bruce Lee isn't just auditioning for a role, he is auditioning for the right to be taken seriously as a human being. He knows that if he fails here, he remains a karate man. If he succeeds, he becomes the spark that ignites a global phenomenon. The tension shifts when Bruce breaks his silence. He doesn't start with a kick or a scream. He speaks with a voice that is calm, melodic, and dangerously certain. He looks at the most skeptical man in the room, the director who hasn't stopped smirking since he walked in, and asks him to stand up. The room goes quiet. The assistants and the technicians in the corners stop their whispering. The energy in the office changes from mockery to a heavy, vibrating pressure. It's the kind of silence that precedes a lightning strike. The director laughs. He looks at his colleagues, seeking validation for the joke he thinks is about to happen. He stands up, smoothing out his expensive suit, thinking he's about to participate in a bit of harmless physical comedy. He thinks he's in control. Bruce tells him to keep his eyes open. He tells him to watch closely. The director steps forward, closing the distance, his smirk still firmly in place. He's twice Bruce's size in ego, if not in height. He thinks he's the hammer and Bruce is the nail. But then, the first micro-loop begins. Bruce moves his hand. It isn't a punch. It's a blur. It is a movement so fast that the human eye, unaccustomed to such efficiency, barely registers it. His fist stops exactly a fraction of an inch from the director's nose. The man didn't even blink. He couldn't. His brain hadn't even processed that the hand had left Bruce's side before it was already retracted. The smirk on the director's face doesn't vanish instantly. It lingers like a ghost, a remnant of a confidence that has just been shattered. Bruce does it again, and then again. Each time the director tries to react. He tries to flinch, to move his head, to put up his hands, but he is always too late. He is living in the past, and Bruce is living in a future that arrives before the director can even think to be afraid. The 180 seconds are ticking, and the room is no longer cold. It is electrified. The other directors are leaning forward now, their cigarettes forgotten in the ashtrays, their cynical masks falling away to reveal a pale, breathless shock. They aren't looking at a stuntman anymore. They are looking at something they cannot categorize. The air in the office feels like it's being sucked out of a vacuum. You can hear the ticking of a clock on the wall, each second marking the death of an old belief. Bruce isn't breathing hard. He isn't sweating. He is as composed as a statue, while the man in front of him is beginning to tremble. The director's face has gone from a healthy tan to a sickly grey. He realizes, perhaps for the first time in his life, that he is completely defenseless. He is standing in front of a man who could end him before he could even scream for help, yet that man is showing more restraint than any person he has ever met. Then comes the moment that shifts the audition from a demonstration of skill to a test of character. Bruce offers a simple, irreversible bet. He doesn't ask for the job. He doesn't talk about his resume. He tells them that he will strike with full power, but he won't leave a bruise. He tells them that he will show them the difference between violence and mastery. This is the point of no return. This is his one shot at a career, his entire reputation on the line in a single breath. In the high-stakes world of Hollywood, where image is everything, Bruce is putting his soul on display. If he misses by an inch, he's a liability. If he hits too hard, he's just another thug in a suit. If he fails to impress, he's a footnote. The directors look at each other. They see the sweat on their colleague's brow. They see the calm in Bruce's eyes. They realize that the 180 seconds they gave him weren't a gift to him. They were a test for them. A test to see if they were smart enough to recognize greatness when it was staring them in the face. The director who was asked to stand up is no longer laughing. He isn't even smirking. He is waiting, suspended in a moment of pure, unadulterated reality. He has been invited into a space where his titles and his mahogany desk mean nothing. In this circle, there is only the truth of the body and the discipline of the mind. Bruce prepares his stance, and the world seems to narrow down to the space between his knuckles and the director's chest. The first 90 seconds of the audition have already redefined the room. The remaining 90 will redefine an entire industry. Bruce is about to do something that no one in that office thought was physically possible. He is about to prove that the most powerful thing in the world isn't the punch you land, but the control you have over the punch you hold back. The directors are about to witness the birth of a legend, but first they have to survive the next few seconds of absolute silence. The director stands there, his feet shoulder-width apart, trying to maintain a shred of the authority he walked in with. But his eyes tell a different story. They are darting, looking for a way out of a challenge he shouldn't have accepted. He's a man who has spent decades commanding actors and telling stories of make-believe violence. But now, the reality of what's standing 3 feet in front of him is starting to sink in. Bruce Lee isn't playing a part. He isn't waiting for a cue. He is the cue. And the clock is still ticking. We are entering the final 90 seconds of the 180 that will change the history of action cinema forever. Bruce looks him directly in the eye, his expression unreadable, and repeats the terms of the bet. 1 strike. Full power. No bruise. It sounds like a paradox, a physical impossibility that contradicts everything these men know about the world. In the mid-60s, power meant a heavyweight boxer's slow, crushing hook or a wrestler's brute force. It didn't mean whatever this lean, impeccably dressed young man was suggesting. The other directors in the room are leaning in so far, they're practically falling out of their chairs. They aren't looking for a stuntman anymore. They are looking for a miracle or a disaster. The energy in that small 20th Century Fox office is so high, it feels like the oxygen has been sucked out of the room. It's not just about a job anymore. It's about the collision of two worlds. On one side, the old guard of Hollywood, built on tropes and stereotypes. On the other, a man who carries 5,000 years of philosophy in his fists and a vision of the future that no one else can see yet. Bruce settles into a stance that is so subtle it's almost invisible. He isn't tensing up, he's doing the opposite. He's becoming loose, fluid, almost like he's dissolving into the air. Then it happens. In the span of a single heartbeat, the room explodes. Bruce doesn't just throw a punch, He becomes a blur of motion that defies the frame rate of human perception. There is a sound, not the wet thud of a fist hitting meat, but a sharp whip-like crack that echoes off the mahogany walls. It's the sound of air being displaced, the sound of a physical law being rewritten in real time. The director's suit jacket ripples as if caught in a localized hurricane. His body jolts, not from the impact of a bone hitting his chest, but from the sheer kinetic energy that Bruce has projected, and then, miraculously, stopped. The world freezes. For several seconds, the only sound is the heavy, ragged breathing of the director. He is still standing, but his face is the color of ash. He slowly reaches up, his fingers trembling, and touches the spot on his chest where the strike should have landed. He expects pain. He expects a broken rib. He expects to find his skin turning purple before his eyes. But there is nothing. No mark, no swelling. Just the lingering vibration of a force that should have sent him through the office wall. Bruce hasn't moved an inch from his finishing position. His fist is hovering exactly where it stopped, a fraction of an inch from the man's heart. He didn't just show them that he could hit. He showed them that he could choose not to. He showed them that true power isn't the ability to destroy, but the absolute mastery of one's own strength. The 180 seconds hit their climax, and the silence that follows is heavier than any noise could ever be. The directors aren't checking their watches. They aren't thinking about the next audition. They are staring at Bruce Lee as if he's a visitor from another dimension. William Dozier is the first to move. He looks at the notes on his desk, then back at the young man in the suit. The cynicism that had defined the beginning of the meeting has been completely incinerated. He realizes that they haven't just found an actor for a television show, they've stumbled upon a force of nature. But the most surprising thing isn't the physical feat they just witnessed. It's what Bruce does next. He doesn't celebrate. He doesn't look around the room for applause or a "did you see that" nod. He doesn't try to humiliate the man who had mocked him just minutes before. Instead, Bruce steps back, offers a slight respectful bow and calmly adjusts his jacket. He walks over to the director, who is still looking down at his own chest in disbelief, and offers him a seat. His voice, when he speaks, is even calmer than before. He begins to talk not about fighting, but about the philosophy of being like water, how it can flow or it can crash, but it always finds its way. In those final moments of the audition, Bruce Lee isn't selling a character, he's sharing a way of life. He explains that his art is about the honest expression of the human body. He tells them that a fighter who only knows how to hurt is a blunt instrument, but a master is someone who can navigate the world with total awareness. The men in the room, some of the most powerful gatekeepers in Hollywood, find themselves listening like schoolboys. The power dynamic has completely flipped. The man they treated like a circus act is now the only one in the room who truly understands the gravity of the moment. Weeks later, the footage of those 3 minutes would start circulating through the corridors of the major studios. It wouldn't stay a secret for long. It would be passed from hand to hand like a piece of forbidden technology. Producers would watch it in darkened screening rooms, rewinding the tape over and over, trying to catch the moment Bruce moved, and failing every time. Years later, historians and martial artists would point back to that 1964 office as the exact moment. The West finally understood that martial arts wasn't just karate stuff. It was a profound art form that demanded the highest level of discipline and intellect. That audition didn't just get Bruce Lee a role in The Green Hornet. It didn't just launch a career that would change global culture. It served as a permanent reminder that the most dangerous person in any room is the one who has nothing to prove and everything to offer. Bruce walked out of that office into the bright California sun, leaving behind a group of men whose worldviews had been shattered and rebuilt in the space of 3 minutes. He didn't just win the room, he won the future. Now think about your own life. Think about the people you encounter every day, the ones you've already put into a box, the ones you've dismissed because they don't look the part, or because they speak a different language of strength. Who are the people in your life that you are currently underestimating? Are you confusing someone's quietness with a lack of power? Are you so busy looking for a stunt man that you're missing the master standing right in front of you? And more importantly, when your own 180 seconds finally arrive, when you are the one being mocked, being doubted, or being pushed into a corner, how will you respond? When you finally have the chance to prove everyone wrong and show the world what you are truly capable of, what will be your first move? Will you choose to use your strength to destroy those who doubted you, to humiliate them and leave them in the dust? Or will you choose to be like water? Will you choose to use your moment not just to win, but to teach? Because in the end, the world doesn't remember the people who just hit the hardest. It remembers the ones who had the power to break everything, but chose to leave no bruise. What will your legacy be? Will you choose to destroy or will you choose to lead?